Okay, now that I've had a cry about a paralyzed dog on TikTok getting his first wheelchair, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna have a little yap, which I honestly should plug in my microphone because you can probably hear my washing machine, my air conditioning, and Jake gaming. Let me plug that in and then we'll come back. Okay, let's have a little yap chat. Should I get into a better, more aesthetic side of the room? Probably. We're gonna yap about my goals, and I love goals because I crush goals, and I'm excited. I want coffee. I have coffee. Hold on. Oh, my in-laws stopped by this morning and brought us coffee after they had breakfast next door, so that was fun. That was very nice of them. I feel like I need to heat mine up. Yeah, it's pretty cold. I'm gonna get a cute cup. Hold on. Look at my cute little cup. Isn't she adorable? Wow. She's so cute. Oh, my blankets are washed. Did you hear? You probably couldn't hear anything. I gotta clean my microwave. We're not judging that. We're also filming a fucking cleaning with me situation today, so don't judge my dirty microwave. So I really want to have some breakfast. So like, would that be weird to like make my breakfast and then yap? Probably. Yeah, I really should have done all of this before I turned the camera on, but I didn't really think of it. So I got some groceries, which is exciting because I was craving. We have some yogurt here, and I was craving fresh berries to go with the yogurt, and I got some, and I washed them, and they're delicious. And I put some in a cutie little cup last night. I think this is hitting my neck every time I move. Okay. Okay, I think I got it. I don't know. Hopefully it's okay. What can I put you in? You're on a bag of mom heads. That's a good angle. I'm crooked as shit. Alright, that's fine. We're gonna make some breakfast to have when I do this little yap. Just a little bit of yogurt. Hi, baby. You're not getting anything. Not right now. Nola in this bitch. I'm excited. I'm getting so much stuff done today. Guys, it's not cat food, it's freaking granola. I'm so sorry. I've summoned every feline in this house. Sorry, babies. I'll feed you guys after if you want. But this is just granola. You guys don't get granola. You'd be sick. Got some raspberries. A little top off. So yum. Very excited. Breakfast. I got strawberries too, but I haven't cleaned those yet, so I'm not a barbarian. I wash my fruit before I eat it. Also, funny story. I came out to the kitchen last night at like 12 o'clock because I had woke up to pee and I wanted some water. Anyways, I got out here and Jake's out here with like gloves on and a cutting board and like a whole fucking chicken. He's just like cutting up a chicken and eating it at midnight. It was funny. Okay, I got my cutie little cup. I got my cutie little breakfast. Let's go have a chit chat. Can I carry all this? Questionably. I'm doing it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I've been kind of in like planning prep and like, yeah, I'd call it planning and prep. Like, I don't know, a week straight now. And what am I stepping on, for Christ's sake? Oh my god, hi. Welcome back to the channel. So, today we're going to be talking about my goals and my plans and all of the things for the next 3 years. So basically what me and Jake did in 2023, we sat down and we made a 5-year plan. Like, business, life, all the things. Sat down and made a 5-year plan. Well, we have accomplished 98% of that 5-year plan and then some. There's only 2 things left on that 5-year plan that we made that we still want to do, but we are doing them in the next 6 to 12 months. So basically we took a 5-year plan and completed it in 4 years, and now need to make some new goals. So that's what we've done. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. There's like, I'm so glad that I create content and I'm documenting this entire journey, because like we started, that is a really big green onion. Wow. I have green onions out on the deck that I really should have probably watered. I probably killed all my plants. I've been neglecting them. Anyways, we started this life as a pipe dream. I'm gonna say like our like real life started in like 2019, because that was the year that really I made a couple decisions that completely changed the trajectory of our lives and our kids' lives, our grandkids' lives. Like that, those like 2 decisions I made that year are literally the catalyst for everything else that has happened since then. In 2019, I made a decision to, well, I had always wanted to work for myself, but I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know, wow, those were dirty. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And in 2019, I had a friend who, she was my boss at the time, but she got into a really bad car accident and couldn't come back to work at the place that we were working. And I knew I was quitting anyways, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. Because the job we had, everybody was stressed. We were all going out on stress leave, and our doctors were telling us like, you guys have to go get new jobs. Like, it's not worth the health. Like, it's not worth your health to stay there. So anyways, the catalyst for me leaving that job was my boss / friend at the time got into a really bad accident. She almost died. And after that accident, she wasn't coming back. She'd already accepted a new position. She already put in her notice, so she was just done at that job. And at that point, management had changed because she was no longer there, and it was just really unbearable. So I, after her, went out on sick leave, and then she happened to be friends with somebody who owned a daycare, and I had like a month or 2 prior to that made like an offhanded comment being like, I really want to own my own business. Daycare seemed like a really easy thing to own. I really need to go get a job in a daycare to like figure out how it works, because I've never done that before. It was in 2019. So she got me a job in a daycare from her friend that owned a daycare. Anyways, I worked in that daycare for 5 years, which is crazy. I worked there for 5 years, or close to 4.5 years, sorry. 4.5 years I worked at that daycare. And that was the launch pad for me owning my own daycare and everything else that has transpired in my life since then. So that's crazy that I decided that in 2019, and the stars aligned and it happened, and now I own 3 of my own daycares, and we're expanding into now content creation and all of this really fun stuff. I wrote my first book. It's going to be published in October. That's freaking crazy. Yeah, I'm just really thankful for the, sequence of events in my life. I'm very, very grateful. But anyways, so now we've crossed off all of our bucket list things for like the past 5 years, and we still have a year and a half left to accomplish everything that we wanted to with our original 5-year plan. So now we have kind of moved on to thinking about other things and planning some big things in life for the next couple years. So we got engaged in 2024, and our wedding is set for October 27th, 2029, which is kind of far away. We planned it, like we set the date last year, and like, is that kind of far away? Yeah, but also our lives are so busy, we have to kind of plan that far in advance. Plus, it was the only date that I liked in the next like 4 years, because it was either we got married in 2027 on a date that I liked in October, or the next available date that I liked was 2029. And we knew rushing a 2027 wedding would just not work, and like I couldn't even imagine if we had tried to do that. Like it never would have worked. So I'm really grateful that we chose 2029, because it just works out for the best in the most like calm way we could do it. So we're getting married in a couple years. We have to put all the deposits down and stuff for that in January. And then we actually have to start making like our DIY stuff, because I want to do a lot of DIY stuff. We did hire a company for like some decor and stuff that I don't want to do, like ceiling decor and like tables and chairs and all that. But I really want to like make some of my stuff. So we have to like prep for that, plan for that. We have to send out our save the dates. We have a lot of like wedding stuff to do starting next year, which is just in a couple of months, which is crazy. But then we also are currently right now in the middle of purchasing the building that our very first daycare is in. So we're dealing with like lenders and mortgage people and all of that. And that's really exciting, kind of stressful, more exciting than stressful. But I'm learning a lot. I'm very excited about that. That was one big thing we wanted crossed off our list in the next 5 years. So that should be happening anywhere from the next like 3 to 6 months, depending on what they come back with telling me we need. And then this is the big one that I'm like beyond excited for. We're buying our first home to live in next year. I'm hoping in the fall, but it might be like anywhere between spring to fall. I think spring would be a little bit too soon for me personally, because that's only like 8 months away, and I just think that would be like a lot. But if we could make it happen in the fall, I would be eternally grateful. And my reasoning for that is like, could we move spring, summer, or fall? Yes, but I really, 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 really don't ever want to move again in the summer, because the last two times we've moved? Yeah, the last 2 times we moved in July, and like, let me tell you, July heat for moving, I don't want to do it again. I just really don't want to do it again. So I'm hoping and praying that we can find a house and move in the like September, October would be nice. If that doesn't super work out, like if we find a house, I think we're gonna start looking in the spring, because I've also learned from like house hunting a little bit, just not like seriously, just like looking on realtor.ca and stuff, and like stalking my realtor and all of her listings. I've learned that I'm picky. I'm really picky, and houses around here are really hard to find for exactly what you want. So that might be a process, because I'm not willing to settle. I'm not willing to like compromise on certain things. I have like a list, I'll read you my list, I guess. But I'm just not willing, like if we're gonna spend $400,000 to $490,000 on a house, I'm not compromising on stuff. That's a huge expense. So I also like straight up told myself I was not compromising when I bought my van in 2023. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew the exact model. I knew the exact specs. I knew everything that I wanted, and I knew exactly how much I wanted to pay for it. And I said, everyone was like, you're never gonna find a van for that cheap. Like, you're not gonna do it. Like, a van is like $30,000, especially for the one you want. And I said, no, I'm gonna find it for less than 20. And I found one for $9,000, precisely what I wanted. Precise color, precise interior, literally everything. They didn't even have, I found it on the Toyota website, like my local Toyota website, and I went in and looked at it. My dad's friend is the dealer, not the dealer, the salesman, and I called him and I said, I want that van, and he said, are you sure? We haven't even had time to look at it. It might be rusty. It doesn't have like all the fandangled new stuff. It's like key to start. I said, no, that's what I want. So anyways, I walked in. He did try and upsell me a 2018. This one was a 2011. But I was like, no, that's what I want. And I found it for the fucking cheapest thing. Like, I wasn't even expecting to pay that little. I was willing to pay $20,000. And I think taxes in, everything, I paid cash. I paid $13,000 total for that car. And everyone told me I would never find one for that. And I said, bet. And I did. So anyways, not willing to compromise on a house either. So let me just read you my list here. And it's nothing actually crazy. Like, it's just really basic stuff. I don't give a shit about interiors. I don't give a shit about anything like that. Cosmetics can be fixed. So, I want, like, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 things on my list that I'm not willing to compromise on. Like, come on. So, minimum 2,000 square feet. Minimum 1 acre of land. $4,999,900 max budget, but I would prefer $425,000 or less. We'll see how that goes. outside city limits because I don't want any restrictions on buying chickens or goats or whatever I want. Four bed, two bath minimum, just because my reasoning is like, okay, right now, the trajectory of our lives is really good. Like, we're making a lot of money, we're able to invest, we're able to save, we're able to obviously buy a building in the next like 3 to 6 months, and then also buy a house in the next 12 to 18 months. So like, and then pay for a fucking wedding, which by the way is like bougie as shit. Our closest friends and family, like, we cut our list down so much. We had over 250 people that we are like genuinely close with, and like we cut that list down to under 200. I think we got it down to like 175. But because we live in such a small town, there's only one venue in the entire friggin' town. We toured so many venues last year. One entire venue in the whole town that would fit all of our friends and family that are genuinely close to us. Like, we have a big life, and I didn't realize how big it was until we started making a wedding guest list. And then like aggressively, like, I'm not even inviting half my family to this wedding, and we're still at 174 people. Like, that's crazy. And a lot of people are gonna have to fly in and like stay in hotels and stuff. So we ended up booking a hotel in the area because like it was the only place that was big enough. It made sense. They have a beautiful property. The places that they were taking us around to show us where we could get pictures done is just gorgeous. And they were saying typically by like the date that we wanted, October 27th, they would have like the pool closed up and they would have the wharf brought in and like all of that stuff. But because we are told them we were going to book the wedding for them, they said they'll keep the pool open, they won't overwinter it, just so it's nice for pictures, and we can go out on the wharf and get pictures done on the water, and that should be really fun and exciting. And I'm very, 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 very excited about that. So I don't know how I got off on that tangent. Oh, but anyways, so because we're paying for all this stuff right now, and we have the means to do so, I'm not naive enough to think that in the future, maybe something will happen and we're not this well off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to live at the top of my means and then something bad happen and we lose everything. So I want to buy like a modest house with like pretty cheap mortgage payment, and then from there we can, you know, customize it to what we want while we have the cash to do so. And that way it's big enough. So we want like 2 to 3 kids. So I want a 4-bed minimum, 2-bath minimum, because if we ever like never move again, I want that house to accommodate our family through every season. Just if we never get the opportunity to buy another house, you know what I mean? Like, I have extravagant dreams and I have like an idea of what I want my life to look like, but I'm also not naive enough to know that like I could lose it all tomorrow. So I don't want to make long-term decisions based off of what I have right now. I want to make the long-term decisions based off of like what is super under our current means. And if we live under our means, then that also means we can invest more and we can like possibly buy our kids' houses for like college graduation or like something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I want to be able to do stuff and give back and go on trips if we want to go on trips, or like build a bigger garden if I want a bigger garden. I don't want to be capped at like, ooh, we're paying $2,500 a month, or friggin' what would be, no, like $5,500 a month for this extravagant house that has like 18 rooms and 7 bathrooms and whatever, but we're house poor, you know what I mean? I don't want to do that. So anyways, that's why I'm hoping for $425,000 or less. Like, we could definitely afford up to we could afford over $500,000 too, but I don't want a mortgage payment that big, and I don't want to put that much on down payment, because my thinking is like, our minimum in Canada is a 5% down payment for a house. Could we do 20 to 25%? Yeah, we could, but I don't want to tie that money up in a house that I'm going to be paying off for the next however many years, when I could use it to invest, or I could use it to go on a trip, or I could, you know what I mean? Like, I already have to pay the mortgage anyways, so why would I put more money in there that I could use for other things. I could open another fucking business with that money. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much I could do with that money instead of having it tied up in a house that I'm already paying off. So anyways, and the last thing I want is a garage. That's it. And realistically, like, I only want a garage because I'm a spoiled brat and I've had a garage for 5 years and I can't even imagine parking outside at this point. But I also want a home gym and we want it in our garage. So we're hoping for a 2-car garage, but we would accept a 1-car garage and then we could build onto it, you know. But this is like another thing where buying below our means means we can put in a bigger garage if we want, or we can, you know, put in a greenhouse, or we can put in a chicken coop. Like, it gives us a lot of options. Also, ride-on lawnmowers are like $5,000, which is insane, and I absolutely refuse to pay that much for one. So I will be buying one of those in the off season and probably storing it, because you're not going to catch me dead paying $5,000 for a lawnmower. That's crazy. I'm really hoping to spend like $2,500, which again, we'll take you on the journey and see if I can manifest a $2,500 lawnmower, because I love manifesting. Even like, okay, this is like totally off topic, but everybody thinks I'm crazy and I'm like woo-woo for like manifesting and stuff. But I literally said, okay, so when we opened up our after school location last year, I said, I really want a couch in here. I want a love seat couch, and I want it to be leather because it's easy to clean, and I want it to be brown. And I didn't want to buy it brand new. I wanted to find it on Marketplace or something. And I knew like I had the exact vibe, the exact vision, the exact everything in my head, right? Didn't I find that exact same couch for free? Free. In my friend's dumpster. Like, okay, it was in a dumpster, yes, but it was like, it had literally just been put there. Somebody was moving out of her apartment building or something. They had put the couch beside the dumpster. I didn't even have time. Nobody had even like had time to move it into like the dumpster, whatever. And I saw it there when I picked her up for work one day, and I was like, hey, where did that come from? How long's that been there? Like, has it been outside all night? And she was like, no, somebody just put it there. And I said, okay, we're gonna put that in the back of the van, and we're gonna clean that up and take it to the after school center, because that's my dream coach for that space. Like, I've been looking for that, or I've been like manifesting that for literally months. I think I probably talked about that couch for 8 months before it just appeared in front of me. Okay? Power and manifestation, my friends. Anyways, but yeah, so that's the main goals for the next couple years. I also had a goal to publish my first book, which I'm doing in October. And what else, man? Like, I don't know. The house was a big thing. Buying the building the first daycare was in is a big thing. But yeah, I'm so like laser focused on the house right now that basically everything else is just kind of background. I'm gonna be doing a lot of like decluttering prior to even looking for houses, because let me tell you, I don't want to move all my shit. I really don't. I want to get down to like the bare bones of what we need to live. And also, once we have a house, I really want open space. Like, I don't want crap everywhere. I just want to like just have open space, because right now, like, we live in a 1,300 square foot apartment with 4 cats, 2 turtles, and a bearded dragon, and me and Jake. So it's 2 bed, 2 bath, has a laundry room, it has like a giant pantry, kitchen's pretty good. Like, I mean, 1,300 square feet's not small, but it's also like, when you run 2 businesses and social media and have that many cats, and like, it just, things get cramped, because like the cats need their furniture, we have our furniture, there's a giant 40-gallon blizzard tank over there, you know what I mean? The turtles are in a tank way too small for their life, and it's sad, and they need more space. So like, when we get into a house, it's like everyone's getting a life upgrade. We're getting more space, the cats get more space, we're gonna build them a catio. I'm really excited. That's another thing. Buying under my means means my cats get a catio, and that's more important than me having a bigger house. Being said, in order to prep for buying a house, we have been working really, really hard on getting our credit scores up. We've been working really hard on investing and saving and all of those things. So that's kind of just been what's taking up my brain the last few weeks, is just like making sure everything is like up to snuff and ready, so we don't have any trouble getting a mortgage, because that's something in the past that we've always struggled with, is like getting financing for literally anything. Because when we were younger, we were broke and stupid and bought a $4,000 couch we couldn't afford and just dumb stuff. And now, like, we're more mature. I'm 28 now. Jake's 29. We're just more mature. We have more life experience. We, you know, have different priorities. It's just different. And I'm really glad that, like, because I wanted to buy a house and have a kid and like do all the things a long time ago, and I felt like behind. I don't feel behind anymore. We've built an incredible business empire situation for ourselves. Obsessed with our life right now. Like, wouldn't change it. Would not change a damn thing. So I'm really glad he kind of like grounded me on that and was like no, we're not doing that. Because he was like, we can start having kids when we're like in our 30s. When we turn 30 and when we have a house, we can do that. And I was like, oh my god, that's so far away. And I was just like being a wiener about it. And now I'm like, dude, could not imagine. Like, I'm so grateful for him doing that. Because it's perfect. It's gonna be perfect. So, anyways, we're gonna buy a house when I'm 28 right now. We'll be into our first house when I'm 29. And then live in it for a little bit, just experience life as homeowners without kids. And then when I'm 30, we can start having kids. And I think that's really beautiful. Like, I think that's good. I really didn't want to have kids like later in life. I say later in life. 30 is not fucking old, you guys. It's not. I'm wiser. I'm more versed in the world. I'm a better fit to have children now than I was when I was 22 and spazzier than sweet fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it just, everything happens for a reason, and it all works out how it's supposed to. And I'm really happy with how everything is going right now. I don't really know where I was going with this. I don't know where I was going with this. But yeah, so those are like our personal goals. Our business goals, I don't even know. I haven't really thought about it. Definitely kind of, we have a lot of daycare plans like in the background, and we are working with like investors and stuff, and like we have a guy who is incredible and has blessed my like business beyond measure. Like, he's incredible. He's the guy that we're buying the building off of that the preschool's currently in, and he's just so down to earth, and he's a multi-millionaire, but he's from a really small town, like about an hour away from the town I'm from, and he's such a small town, like, neighborly guy is like the only way I can describe it. Like, I know his wife, I know his stepkids, I know his kids. Like, we've created this really great business like dynamic, and like he knows Jake, and he asks us about our wedding all the time, and we just met for coffee yesterday, and he was like, yeah, like, did you guys buy your own house yet? Like, are you into a house or whatever? And I said, no, like, we're gonna wait till next year until like we buy the daycare from you. And he was like, oh yeah, that's smart, get that under your belt, and then like a personal investment, like mortgage person, will like be a lot more likely to give you a mortgage, like whatever. And he just gives like random advice to me all the time, and he's just great. We love him. So, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. So he's a chiropractor, but he's into like rental business. Like, he owns apartment buildings and he owns houses, and he like rents, and he does all that for his kind of like passive income. And he has a deal going through where he's building this big apartment complex near a new school in a couple neighboring towns over from us. And he wants me to bring in a daycare into that building, and he's going to give me like 12,000 square feet of space to put in a massive daycare. And I think that would be incredible. But basically, the way daycares work around here, you have to like wait for funding to be available from the government, because if you're not subsidized, it's pretty much a wash. Like you just can't really do anything with a non-subsidized daycare around here. But the subsidized ones get a lot of government support, the parents get support, it's just like a lot easier to deal with it. But the only downside is that you can't just like go and open one, you literally have to wait for the funding to be available, which is kind of annoying, but it also just is what it is. So anyways, we have kind of plans to like make a daycare together there, and I have another opportunity with a completely different person to make a daycare in another new school in one of the neighboring villages. And there's just like a lot of like expansion stuff going on with my daycare life, which is great and fun and cool and stuff, but none of it is like, I'm not actively working towards that as like part of my goals. Like it's just kind of opportunities are coming up randomly and people are talking to me about it, and they're bringing them to me because they know I run good daycares, and they're like, oh, do you want to like, the community over here could really use like something for childcare, you should be the one to like pioneer it. And that's really flattering, honestly, because I'm really big on like small towns. I grew up in a really small town. I have a daycare in that same small town now, and then I kind of moved into a different small town for my preschool, and it's just like I'm basically just popping around into all the small towns being like, hi, I value community, I'll be your daycare provider. And that's been really fun. And now people, when they hear like, you know, a spot needs opened, I have multiple people putting my name in for things, and it's just really cool. I've built a really good little community with my daycare businesses. But aside from that stuff, those are just like random projects that we'll like definitely probably get into, but those are just kind of falling into my lap. I'm not really going out seeking them. But as far as work projects that I'm actually seeking and like wanting to like actively pursue, content creation, 100%. For the next 3 to 5 years, I really, really, really want to hone in on my branding and my niche and my my vibe on the internet, and really make that a prolific source of income. So that's really exciting. And I hired an assistant 3 years ago to help me open the daycares, and then she helped with that for about a year and a half, and then she went on maternity leave. So no, a year and a half, and then she went on maternity leave, and now she's back from maternity leave, and we have accomplished so much in the past, like, she's been back for a month and a half, not quite, she's been back for like 5 weeks, and we've accomplished so much, like worth her weight in gold. So that's really exciting. And then I think she's planning to have another baby in the next like couple years, so I'm probably gonna have to hire somebody like interim while she's on maternity leave again, because that year she was off maternity leave, I didn't realize how heavily I relied on her help. So that was a lot. But what else was I gonna say? But yeah, so content, and then also books. I have wanted to be an author I'm at this point in my whole life. Like, I love reading. I was reading novels when I was 3 years old. I knew I wanted to be a writer at least by the time I was like 6 or 7. I literally went to university to get a writing degree. Like, I literally did that. And I'm still $23,000 in debt from that with student loans. So like, I really, really, really wanted to be a writer. But I knew, like, I had always grown up knowing, like, if you're in the arts, like, it's not very profitable. So I knew I kind of had to do something else on the side. But now that I have like all of these daycares and like my businesses are thriving, I have more capacity to write and like work on my creative endeavors. So that's also really exciting. My first book comes out in October, and it's a poetry collection. It's something I tried to write a book last year, and I got like 20,000 words into it, I think. It was a fictional book, but I was projecting a lot into those characters, and I didn't want that to be the book. Like, it was reading more like a fictionalized memoir, and that's just not how I wanted it to be. So I pivoted a little bit, and then I started writing poetry again, because I did that a lot in high school. And when I started writing the poetry, it just didn't stop. Like, I wrote a full manuscript in like 3 weeks. It was insane. So I'm going to be publishing that first because it just apparently just really needed to get out of me and into the world. So we're publishing that in October. My friend is doing a cover design for that, so that's really exciting. And after that, I'm gonna go back to that fiction book and I'm gonna fix it up a little bit so the characters aren't so like parallel to me. And yeah, yeah. Then I'm gonna keep writing. I'm really hoping for, I want to get a literary agent. I know that's really hard, but I want to. There's also some things that I want to self-publish. Like there's a couple, I have some plans. Like I want to write smut. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I really want to write smut. And I don't want to go the traditional publishing route for that because I feel like that's just silly and a bit of a waste of time. So I will be self-publishing the smutty stuff. Probably under a pen name because I do own daycares, and putting my actual name on that seems like a little bit, it's too much. It's too much, okay? Yeah, daycare owner by day, smut writer by night, which is true. I just don't need parents finding that stuff attached to my real name. we're just not doing that. And then yeah, I want to traditionally publish some stuff too. So once I'm done the manuscript for the stuff that I traditionally want to publish, like the first one, which is the book I am currently working, or I was working on last year, I'm definitely going to query agents, and I'll definitely film that process too because I think it's so intriguing how like the back end of things work. I've been talking for 43 minutes, holy shit. But yeah, I think everything, like the back end of businesses and the back end of like certain industries is what interests me the most and stuff. Like I just really want to know how processes work. I love a process, I love a system. I want to know how it all works because I'm nosy, and I don't like seeing the end result of something because I'm like, okay, but I know work went into doing that. What kind of work went into doing that, and how hard is it? Like that's what interests me. So I think it'll be fun to share the process of that. I'm going to be sharing the process of self-publishing too. I think I already talked a little bit in another video about how I went about getting like my ISBN account for Canada. What else? Those are like my main goals, I guess. But I did also, again, this opportunity just kind of fell in my lap because I asked a question. So one of my staff is going back to take her second year early childhood education at the community college this year. And that's how I got my early childhood education diploma, certificate, whatever, back in 2022, 2023. You enroll through the daycare you work at, and then they pay for it. It's totally free. And then you just go to school like Tuesdays and Thursday nights just online in like a Teams meeting. And it's super chill, and it's a really easy way to grab an extra like certificate, degree, whatever from college. So I had been corresponding with the facilitator of that course for her, and I just so happened, because like a couple of my staff are going to take it next year too, and I just so happened to ask her, I was like, am I eligible for that? Like, is there any way in hell that I would be eligible for that? Because I own the daycare, I'm like not eligible for any government subsidies of any kind, which like, I mean, fair enough, I guess I own the place. But even if I work on the floor as a staff, I'm not eligible for like the income top up that they get. So I figured because I'm not eligible for that, I probably wouldn't be eligible for the free schooling either. But they had to dig around. They really had to ask a lot of people. But they got back to me and they were like, yeah, actually you are eligible to take it. So I don't want to sign up for it right now because I'm really not ready to take it right now, but I am going to sign up for it next year. And I'm very much, can't believe I'm doing that because I said I'd never go back to school, but it's a free degree. They're going to give the daycare a grant for me going, and I think that would just be peachy. What did we do? So basically, I think the next cohort for it is September 2027, and that's about the time that we'll be moving. So like, I've just had this picture in my head ever since I found out I could go back to school for free. So crazy. Ever since I found out I could go back and get that, And then I also found out we were going to be buying a house, and I was like, oh, I just have this picture of me walking into my house on a September day, going to my dining room table, setting up my laptop for this Teams meeting, doing schooling at my own dining room table in my own home with a September breeze blowing through my windows and like golden hour. And I'm like, I'm gonna cry. That would just be so poetic. Because every single place I've ever lived, my parents' house, my first apartment, my second apartment, my third apartment, this apartment, every single place I've ever lived, I've gone through some form of schooling in it. So I'm like, wouldn't that be an incredible way to like christen this new house by doing one more round of school? So, I don't know. That's, like, I feel such a sense of like calm and peace with that. And that's really exciting. It also would be my like 1, 2, 3, 4th degree. That's fucking crazy. But yeah, I think that would be cool. Like, I have a whole university degree, I have a college degree, I have like this online degree thing that I took after I went to college and university. And then yeah, this would be me going back to college to get a second little degree from college. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. I think that's fun. But those are all of my goals for the next few years. Some of them are pretty lofty. Like, I didn't go into like specifics on anything except the house, I guess, but it's all really exciting stuff. The next like three years, yeah. Next 3 years is gonna be a wild friggin' ride. But I'm excited. It's all exciting stuff. I think the thing I'm most excited about for all of that is the house. Obviously, when we buy a house, that's gonna be the most exciting day of my whole life. Maybe not my whole life, maybe like when my kids are born, but you know, the house is gonna be really exciting. And then I think the thing I'm most excited about other than that though is like YouTube. I've wanted to consistently do YouTube since 2015 or 2014, honestly. And now I'm finally doing it, and that's really exciting. But also like, I just love that I started doing it before all of this exciting stuff happened in my life, because now I get to film all these exciting life events, and I get to watch them back forever. And I think that's going to be like the biggest gift of all out of all of this. It's just like documenting literally everything, so in 20 years my kids can watch us buy our first house, the house that they probably are going to come home from the hospital in, and like, that's exciting. So everything's exciting, everything's good. Those are my goals for the next few years. Yeah, thanks for sitting through this hour-long video. That's gonna be great to edit. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my videos, please hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you soon with a new video. Bye.